Hi there, it's Diane the Nursing Geek, and today I'm going to give you my tips on how to write 1,000 words in an hour or 1K1H. One of my cabin mates actually requested that somebody do a video like this, so here you go, Brooke. While this is mostly geared towards fiction writing, I should point out that I think it would work fairly well for writing papers and things too, if you just really need to just get it written. But you'd need to tweak some things a little bit. But I think the general principles still work. So this is a habit I've developed over the last few years that it may not work for everyone. It works for me, but I have a feeling that it works better for pantsing your writing by the seat of your pants. That said, I do generally have at least a basic outline in my head, even if that is intro, rising action, climax, resolution. Just phrase tags, pyramid, and nothing else. Character here, trying to get here. These days I'm a little more plantser, so I've been doing a little more plotting, so I have a bit more detail to work with, but I still do a lot of what some people call discovery writing, and this type of writing works really well for that. So when I've written myself into a corner I don't know how to get out of, I've closed off every possible exit for this character, then just sitting down and writing it out often works. So here are my tips. Number 1, know what you want to write. Again, at least that basic thumbnail outline in your head. It doesn't have to be any detail, just in general. You should at least know what character you want to be writing, and maybe an emotion or where you're trying to get them to go. At least some general idea. Number 2, commit to writing at least 1,000 words in the hour that you have sat down for, assuming you sit down to write. If you stand up to write, then the hour that you're standing there writing for. Number 3, and this is the tough one for a lot of people, accept that many, if not most, of those 1,000 words will be crap. You will need to edit them out. A lot of them you may just throw out. Or you might need to tweak them, polish them. But in general, when you're writing that fast, a lot of it's going to be awful. The point is just to get it written. Then you can edit once you have something to work with. Number 4 is to have some way of keeping time. I often will participate with a Tumblr called Weekend Writing Marathon. They actually have scheduled 1-hour sprints throughout the week, and they are specifically labeled 1K1H, 1,000 words in an hour. And so someone will post at the beginning of the hour, and then again at the end, and everybody who has participated is encouraged to share how many words they've managed to write. So there's sort of a community sense there, which I find helpful, even if I don't know any of the other people who are writing, and I don't know until the end of the hour if anybody else is writing with me, including the moderator who posts all this. They may not be writing that particular day either, but it's just that sense of being in community. You could also do a sprint with your cabin mates if it's Camp NaNoWriMo. Post in your cabin, hey, I would like to do a sprint at such and such a time, who's with me? I also participate on a Discord server that has these bots that do various different functions, and if you go into this one particular room or sub-channel or whatever you would call it, you can tell one of the bots to time you for a sprint, and it will give you a little bleep when time is up. And even if I'm not sprinting with anybody else, that still gives that kind of feeling that I'm sprinting with someone, even if it's really a computer program, as long as it works. Or just have any timer. It could be just a timer on your phone, or I was just watching Haley Bascom's vlog from day 1 of Camp NaNoWriMo, and she had this adorable little hedgehog timer, which I now want one. So if you have an adorable little timer like that, that's not going to distract you, but will keep time for you, maybe use that. Number 5, and this may not work, this really also may not work for anyone else but me. Some people probably would find this really distracting. I find it useful to check on myself every so often, usually on the quarter hour. And I want to see that at quarter past, I've got somewhere in the vicinity of 250 words. By half past, somewhere in the vicinity of 500 words. By 45 minutes, I want somewhere in the vicinity of 750 words, which will tell me that I'm on track to head for that final. I think one of the reasons I find that useful is if I decide to go look something up, I can fall very easily down a rabbit hole of research. And so having that check-in to myself, oh wait, no, I'm supposed to be writing. Yeah, okay, I looked that up, I know that fact, now let's write. So that works for me, may not work for others. As I say, I know that a lot of people probably would find that distracting or stressful rather than motivating or whatever. Number 6 is share at the end of the hour how much you got done with whoever you're sprinting with, if you are sprinting with someone else. And know that any progress is good progress, even if what you ended up doing was you did end up having to research something and it wasn't simply, oh, I just need to look this up. It actually turned into you needed to learn a lot to do your writing. That's still work for your writing, and if you think you're going to be doing a lot of work like that, that would be a time to set your goal in time rather than words, which is what I did for this month, even though I've mostly just been writing. So that's what works for me, which I would recommend to anyone who wants to try to crank out that volume of words in an hour. It works about 90% of the time. Just this morning I came in slightly under 900 words in my morning sprint for the story I'm working on, but I was at the end of a scene and I did not want to at that point start into another scene, so I decided, okay, this is where I'm stopping today, even though I would rather have had a 4-digit number of some kind to put for my word count. So maybe that's tip number 7, is if it makes sense to stop, even if you don't have 1,000 words, do it. Because the goal in general is just to get written what it is that you want to write. The numbers are just motivators. So, those are my tips. Let me know in the comments below if you have a system for quickly writing lots of words that works for you, especially if you're a plotter rather than a pantser. I'd be very interested to hear whether an approach like this works for you, because my sense is it's more of a pantser approach, but I could be completely wrong. That's it for now. I will see you again next time. Bye.